This is a Windows Phone 7 game review of Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, which is available in the marketplace for the high price of $6.99 and is an Xbox Live title. So at first you might look at this and think, it's just another crappy Pac-Man remake and it's not worth it at all. But once you actually play it, you realize it's so much more. And it's really awesome. There's 3 different levels to choose from, so there's not that many, and that's the only downside about this game. The lasting value will only be at about a little over an hour and a half, or even less if you're really good. But it has these cool modes, like Score Attack here, where you play for a high score, and the gameplay is really awesome. There's different difficulties in each level too, and you can keep on competing for higher scores if you want to increase the lasting value. So the game has some really good sound effects, and the visuals are absolutely incredible. They just look awesome, and the screen really pops out at you. This is probably the best visually designed level out of the game. And it looks really cool. And the controls are spot on. They're just little gesture controls. You flick up and you move around like that. And they always do exactly what you want, which is really incredible. Like if you're going around a side there, you can actually just go straight around the side and send in the control command before you get to the corner, and it'll start grinding like it does there. If you watch closely right here, it has those little grinding effects around the corners to show you that it's going to take the next corner when it can. There's a bunch of different power-ups, and there's some really incredible things about the game, like when you're getting close to an enemy there, it'll actually slow down and let you quickly think, as if it's slow motion in a movie. And then you can quickly make a reaction like there, and if you need to, you can always send out a bomb. Which right here, boom, you just do pinch to zoom, and it'll explode a bomb. The only problem with that is the pinch zoom is sometimes tricky to use, and it's best if you actually use 2 fingers here. Or 2 separate hands, I mean. If you use the same hand, then it doesn't work that well sometimes. Uh-oh. So there's a point where we need to use the bomb to get out of that situation. And then there's those power-ups where you can actually eat all the enemies here. And that's really incredible when you have a bunch of enemies lined up like that. Then you can get a huge high score by using that power-up and eating all of them. And that's definitely the way to success. And as you can see, as you play, the game keeps on adapting to what you do. Once you hit a certain fruit there, or whatever those are, then it unlocks the next part of the level. Each different level theme has unique challenges to it that make it really fun to play. And they do have a different visual design, but you can actually change that visual design if you want to, and you can set it to either of the 3. And then the board still stays the same, it just has a different visual design. So overall, this is one of the most fun Pac-Man games ever. And it's extremely addicting. It has some really great gameplay concepts. And the fact that those enemies are actually sleeping until you pass by them and then they start to wake up is really cool. And then eating the enemies is probably the most satisfying thing that you'll do. Watching that score rack up is incredible, and watching the visuals react to that and the sounds react is really awesome. The only downside about the game is that between all these different levels and all the time trial modes and ghost combo modes, you won't get that much gameplay out of it. You'll get about an hour and a half or a little more or a little less depending on how good you are. The different modes, like the Ghost mode, provide good variation, but it still is essentially the same game, and unless you really like competing for high scores, you'll basically just be doing the same thing over and over again. However, it is really fun to play, and if the price was set lower, it would be incredible. Or if they had more different levels that you could play, then it'd definitely be worth the $6.99. But as it stands, I would have to say that it probably isn't worth it, just because you won't get much lasting value out of it unless you really, really love competing for high scores. However, it has some of the greatest gameplay elements that I've ever seen. Like, the fact that the game actually speeds up as you kill more enemies is really awesome. And these different modes, like the time attack modes and the modes where you have to kill as many ghosts in a row as possible, they definitely add a new aspect to the game and make it really fun to play. And the controls are always spot on and do exactly what you want to do. So it's really pleasurable to play the game. Download the trial and see what you think about it, and if you really love it, which you probably will since it has some great gameplay aspects, then go ahead and buy it. Just remember that you won't get too much lasting value out of it, and you'll really have to compete for high scores if you want to get a lot of lasting value out of it. Despite the weak lasting value, you can find Pac-Man Championship Edition DX in the marketplace for $6.99.